Welcome back to Running with Coach Tori.
Hey, Jeff.
And Jeff's asleep, and we are bringing you the running news of the week, whether it's to entertain you on your long run or to give you things to chat about in your running group. We've got you covered. But actually, before we start that, because I feel like sometimes my quizzes are on point and sometimes my quizzes are not so great, I think I have a better one this week. Short quiz for you. Outrageous running records. And I know there's like a million and we've talked about some of them before, but I feel like there are some good ones. Do you know what the distance for the 24-hour world record is currently? I'll give you a hint. It was set in 2022.
Okay. Was that Camille Herron who set that or no?
No, this is a men's.
Oh, men's. Men's. Not that there's probably a radical difference between those two. Let me see. 24 hours, you said?
Yep.
How far can someone run in 24 hours? Let's see. Marathon takes 2 hours. That's 26 miles. Wow. I mean, I seem like an awful lot if I multiply that by 10. I'll go 150 miles. No. I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go 200 miles.
Wow, you're close. 198.5.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't have the math on that of how fast he was running, but, obviously pretty fast.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty fast.
Crazy.
That's got to be in the 6-minute range, I'm going to guess.
Yeah. I feel like when he set the world record, it's Alexander Sarakin, I think, from Lithuania. I feel like I heard about it when it happened, and I remember them talking about how fast it was, and it was, insane that he ran that fast the whole time. Yeah, crazy. What do you think the fastest marathon dressed as a zombie was running? So it's just dressed as a zombie, not running like a zombie, because I can imagine those would be different.
Sorry, what's the question? We have to repeat that one more time because I was actually doing the math on the runner, and it's a 7.27 minutes per mile.
Oh wow, okay.
So, but again, impressive. I mean, I could do that for a mile, but I can't do that for 198 of them.
Right. Fastest marathon.
Zombie. Yeah, fastest marathon in a zombie outfit.
Yeah.
All right. I mean,
it's a male runner who set this record.
I mean, not like a zombie outfit's going to be too restrictive on you, right? So that's really just a little bit of face paint. But I got to believe that an elite athlete has too much respect for itself to run in a zombie outfit. So therefore, it's not going to be an elite number. It's going to be 2 hours and 18 minutes.
2:43:54.
Okay.
So yeah,
so that tells me that there's more respect. Even the 2 hour and 30-minute marathoners have enough respect that they would not do that.
Correct. So yeah, we're getting into more fit pedestrians are doing these kinds of things.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yes, very fit pedestrians. But that's the cutoff. That's when you have enough. I'm not getting enough attention at my 2:43 marathon. Let me dress as a zombie and get a little bit more attention.
Exactly, which is what we talked about. I think last time we talked about people who run in costumes, right? Fastest marathon in a sleeping bag, and this was another male runner. Yeah, I need a picture of this.
Okay, does he have holes cut out for his legs? He must, right?
I feel like he has to, right? Because otherwise you're hopping it.
Yeah,
that's gonna take forever.
Right. But I guess a sleeping bag's very restrictive, even if there's holes cut out for your legs. So I'm gonna go with that's a, and again, you got to be pretty desperate for attention to do that. It's almost like running like a worm.
Right.
So I'm going to say that's 3 hours and 10 minutes.
3:41:59.
Okay. Yeah. He should just dress as a zombie. He's got to, anyway, go ahead.
All right, we'll do like two more. Fastest marathon dressed as a tooth.
A tooth?
Yeah.
Okay. Even a tooth costume's got to be a little bit heavy. I mean, you're not going to invest in some lightweight materials to cut that out. So maybe you could use some styrofoam. So maybe it's not that heavy. But again, awkward as all heck running in a tooth outfit. So I'm going to say it's easier than a sleeping bag. So 3 hours.
Oh, I should have said female runner.
Oh, okay. Oh, that changes it radically.
Yikes.
3 hours and 10 minutes.
3:51.
Oh,
So
these times are getting slower. I think I'm seeing a trend that you're going down the list. It must be a list that's getting longer. So I'm going to go higher on the next one.
yeah. Well, now the next one is, I guess this is just a fact because they didn't actually say how long. Let me see if I can actually find it. How long this was, but it was the longest scarf knitted while running a marathon. But it says it was set by David Babcock, but it doesn't say how long he actually, like, how long the scarf was.
The record breaking scarf.
Oh,
Um,
sorry, it was 12 feet long.
all right,
Wait,
12
what?
feet long. So that, I mean, and this is how fast he did it, or how long? I mean, so how long did it take him to run 26 miles and knit a scarf that's long? I'm going to say that took someone 5 hours.
Yeah, I don't, this was a bad article. It doesn't say.
Let's just go with my answer then. We're going to
Yeah,
go 5 hours. It took him 5 hours to knit that scarf and run 26 miles.
yeah, I'll take it. 5 hours sounds like yeah,
He's going to write in and say that that's a lie.
right. Why are you slandering my world record?
My
Yikes.
scarf knitting world record.
Yeah,
All
seriously. What?
right, well, I'm going to jump around then because since you mentioned that was your last one.
That was my last one. Yeah.
Well, since you mentioned world records, I'm going to jump into world records because I like to talk about world records.
Yes, you do. Let's
So,
hear it.
yeah, so you recall the world record was set recently in the 1500 meters and the 3000 meters. Do you recall who set those two world records?
Ingebrigtsen and Fisher.
Yes, that is correct. Those two world records were broken this past week. Not by those two individuals. This was by an 86-year-old man, but he broke it in his own age group category.
Oh my gosh, I was like, what are you talking about?
Yes, yes, that was the sort of the teaser there. It wasn't in his age in the open category. He broke it in his age category. So he is a French runner, and the Masters world records were run in Gainesville, Florida. Do you know what's in Gainesville, Florida?
FSU?
University of Florida. You got it.
Oh, is that,
Uh,
did I say the right school?
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
You said you said which one?
I don't
You
know.
might
Is
have said
FSU
FSU,
even a
which is Florida
school?
State.
Florida something. Gators. The
Yeah, you said
Gators are there.
FSU, which is Florida State University, and that is in
Not correct.
Tallahassee, I believe. But anyway, yeah, University of Florida. They must have had the championships there, and yeah, this guy Jean-Louis Esnault is a French runner, as I pronounced it French, and he won those two in world record fashion. Any guess what it would take an 85-year-old to run a 1500 meters?
Like, I don't know. 8 minutes?
6 minutes and 8 seconds.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I have no
Disrespecting the
perspective.
85-year-old.
Ah, I lost Jeff. Ah, okay.
My back.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw there's something popped up on my screen saying there was a problem. Um,
That's
yeah,
so
so he
sad.
also, by the way, he must be like I'm assuming there aren't a lot of athletes at the in this age group
Yeah.
because in addition to breaking the world record in the 1500 meter and the 3000, he also won the 60-meter hurdles, the 200 meters, the 400 meters, the 800 meters, and came in second in the 6,000. So
Oh
he
my gosh.
dominated his age category. I'm shocked that they even have 60-meter hurdles for 85 to 89-year-old people.
And like, not to ask a shady question, but like, I'm guessing it's not like the height that like men normally do the hurdles. I
Yeah,
mean, I
there's
guess,
6-inch hurdles.
well, right. No, I'm like, I'm even picturing like the regular low hurdle. I don't know. Because the high hurdles are really high. I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe I'm
yeah,
really
no, I'm with you.
underestimating.
I didn't see a video of this. I may have to go see if that's out there somewhere. I
Yeah,
won't do
the
that now.
ageism is bad here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was my only world record updates. Um,
Okay,
Now,
tricky.
last week you mentioned the Barkley Marathon, and we talked a little bit about it. Did you get that from the documentary that was out there? So there was a there's a I guess I'll call it a documentary. It's sort of a film slash documentary. It's on YouTube, but it's basically it's Jasmine Paris, right? That's the woman who actually finished it last year.
Yeah.
So that film slash documentary came out recently, so that is on YouTube. So that was a little bit more of a commercial for that. That from a standpoint of, I watched it. It was great.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. So and it gave you a really good perspective on that race, how challenging it was. Her being the first woman, which you mentioned last week. It is an amazing accomplishment, and I don't know that I gave it the respect that it deserved last week. So I'm bringing it back up this week and telling people they should watch that documentary.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we talked last week that like Barkley is like the coolest, has a cool history, cool race, and it definitely attracts some cool people. I have more Barkley news actually, and I'm surprised
Oh,
this
okay,
wasn't.
go. Yeah, bring it.
Yeah, I'm surprised this wasn't your Barkley update. In a now deleted Instagram post, Goggins is making waves. He has a 2026 Barkley application put in. Um, so let me just read what he posted. So I guess I don't know why he deleted it, but I also don't really understand social media. But he wrote, "Dear Laz, I'm not writing this letter to ask for your permission. I'm writing to let you know I'm coming. You built a race that breaks people. I'm unbreakable. I've dragged my body through Death Valley in 125-degree heat. I've run 240 miles on broken legs. I've done 4,000 pull-ups in a day just to see what it would feel like to fail. The Barkley, I've been training for this race my entire life. I just didn't know it yet. I want in not just to finish, I want to break it. I want to run 5 loops, rip your little book pages, and still have enough left to jog a 6th loop, perhaps with no map or compass. No GPS, no comfort, no mercy. That's how I live. I don't need a yellow gate to suffer. I do that every damn day. But I want to suffer your way. Stay hard. Goggins."
Wow, that is him. Bring it.
I know. So,
I was wondering recently what happened to that guy. I mean, because yeah, I read those 2 books we talked about on the old podcast in some book reviews. You know, he's an intense dude, and I just wondered whether was he finally done, right? Because I know he had some knee issues and he had gotten some surgeries done. As he even referenced there, like he had broken legs. I think he had broken bones in his feet when on one of these races. I just was wondering whether he finally had just basically not given up. That's the wrong way to say that, but basically been beaten down by the injuries in time. But it sounds like he's not. He's not beaten down.
no, he's ready. And according to sources close to him, if that can be trusted on, any kind of article, his current training for Barkley includes echolocation drills in which he navigates the gated community where he lives in Las Vegas blindfolded. He also reportedly created a new hate mixtape, which is an audio compilation of every negative comment ever posted about him, which he listens to on repeat while running hill repeats in and out of the Grand Canyon at midnight in a weighted vest.
Wow. I
So,
hope he gets in. Hope he does it. Hope he goes. I'm gonna bet he
so
won't do that 6th loop though.
no, for sure not. Um, yeah, so my only thing, and again, I'm not super ingratiated in the ultra community, which we know. Um, but I do feel like that's not really maybe I'm misinterpreting because I feel like that's not totally the attitude that usually like Laz is trying to attract, right? Like it's more like I guess he does want tough people though. But yeah, I just feel like that attitude is maybe not really what he's looking for in like the runners, right? Because it's not supposed to be about the notoriety or whatever. Or maybe it's just not supposed to be mainstream, and not that Goggins is mainstream at all. I don't know. But I almost could
Yeah,
see a world where he's like, nah, I don't want that. I don't want that energy. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, I do. It is a different energy. I think it feels like it's a little bit not treating that race with the respect it probably deserves. Like saying basically you're going to break that race. I think it does go in a little bit of line with what he's looking for from a standpoint of he wants to see what's humanly possible, which is why he designs the race the way he designs it to make it that there are almost no finishers or very few, and it's by pushing people to the absolute limit and beyond. So yeah, there is part of it that's probably in his wheelhouse, but yeah, there's a big piece of it that's probably not in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, and of course, in typical me fashion, I start commenting on things before I finish reading the article. Yikes. Um, but so apparently he responded saying David's reputation precedes him, but the Barkley has a way of humbling even the toughest. I'll believe he's running when I see him at the gate, assuming he doesn't get distracted by a book signing or a shirtless podcast appearance. Oh, Barkley's not about attention. It's about disappearing into the woods and questioning your life choices while bleeding into your socks. So there's that.
Yeah.
So guess he's kind of calling him out. There's lots of hate already, I think, amongst just random people on Twitter saying that he's never gonna do it, blah blah blah. So yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah, I won't bet against David Goggins. I would bet on him to be up for this one and compete it. I mean, I think he's only dropped out of like at least one I know of. One of those, I don't know if it was the Moab 240 or one of the. I don't think he was in Western States, but one of those that I think he had a problem finishing. So
So the one last thing, and then I'll let us move on. Courtney DeWalter apparently commented or reflected on this as well. And hopefully all this is like true facts because again, we just said my journalism is poor. um, Barkley absolutely kicked my ass. She said, I've dominated some of the hardest races in the world, but that one had me questioning everything about mile 3. If Goggins thinks he can just out tough it, well, I hope he packed humility and a shirt. Why is he seemingly always shirtless and does he shave his chest? Weird. Anyway, good luck to him. I'll do it. I guess this is like a thing that he doesn't wear enough clothes.
yeah, you know what? I don't see him in a lot of like TV appearances, so
That's
I
funny.
don't know what's going on with the shirtless references.
So yeah, that'll be definitely fun to check in next year to see kind of what's going on with that.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah. So what else you got story wise?
Story wise, so that was really more of the I'll call it the current news. There is I guess as people get ready for their spring marathons, people who run 2 marathons a year, spring and fall. Um, there's a lot of tapering discussion going on. So I thought I'd ask you a few tapering things. So there's a current article, which I'm sure you'll attach in the show notes, that just deals with different aspects of tapering. Here's all the do's and don'ts of tapering. Let me know if any of these things surprise you. So um, do remember that you've done all of the training. Yeah, maybe you haven't. Maybe you haven't done the training.
I was
Maybe
just
you've
gonna
missed a
say.
few of those long runs, and you will pay the price because the marathon doesn't let you cheat. Um, don't try to cram fitness. What do you think that one really is?
Yeah, I think especially for people who did not do the training, you're kind of like I have to keep you kind of keep building up on that. I know some people, I think it's not so much the majority, but like fear that short amount of time that you are backing off mileage, you're losing that fitness too. So you're like, I need to keep it going. I definitely have known some people who are like, they just want to keep building that longer run. Even once you've hit that 20 miler or 22, whatever you end up doing as your last long run. And like, well, I need to be able to get to the 26 because I guess without actually hitting that, you don't believe that you can. And I think sometimes people are really squeezing that in there, or they think they can get faster within those 3 weeks of like, okay, I'm running less miles. Now I'm going to sprint more or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
No, you nailed it. I mean, I think it's that concept that in college, right, or in high school, you're cramming for an exam, you stay up the 3 nights before, and that probably pays dividends in your test scores by doing
Yeah,
that. But you can't do that for a marathon. You can't drain your body and your battery, the week of the marathon by going out and doing a bunch of long runs to say, I did it. I did a 26-mile run just yesterday. I can do one today.
exactly.
Uh, yeah, a couple other ones that were on here. Let's see. Don't lift weights. They that's obviously. I mean, I know when I was doing my tapering, that was one of the first things you said to me was, hey, I know you're lifting, a couple times a week, but don't do that the week or two before. Cut that out as part of your routine. So, I think that's probably good advice. Um, don't worry about things you can't control. but do be prepared for them. So I think a lot of people stress out like on weather. Like that's probably the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weather is going to be X, Y, and Z, and therefore they're, I think we all know like the stress that you put on yourself, that's draining for you. Like whether it be mentally draining or physically draining, right? It just uses energy to be stressed about stuff. So it's not good to do that. So don't worry about the things you can't control. Let's see. Don't try new things.
Yes, you're guilty of that like every race, right?
I am, yeah, buying new pair of shoes, new shorts,
Yep.
yeah, a new concept every time. Like, oh, let me try these new gels I just bought.
Right.
That's a
Yeah.
terrible idea. Absolutely terrible. Um, do visualize success and think positively. I think there's a lot of studies on that one, right? So that,
Yeah, I mean, any mindset person you talk to, or even just like anyone who's really into like the high achieving elements of the world, right? Like they talk about the visualization, especially for people who, like you mentioned already, right? The stress or just kind of hyper fixating on whatever problems could go wrong. Like if you are actually picturing race day, getting to wherever you need to go, getting through your checkpoints, all those things, finishing the race, right? Your brain actually already thinks it does that. Like our brains, as complex as they are, they can also be so simple that if you picture yourself already doing something and having it done, you lose some of that anxiety if I've never done this anymore. And so that like I don't know. Again, I don't know how we can prove that, but somehow they've figured that out that that's like how your brain responds to those kinds of techniques. So, especially for the anxious people, it is good to have that already thought through.
yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I think those positive, there's always hurdles in either in the week leading up to a marathon. Those little things oh, suddenly my Achilles feels weird. Oh, my hamstrings are tight. I feel like this is my knees hurting. I think those things are sometimes they're just mental games. Like you're just mind. You're not running as much. You have a little bit more time on your hands, and your body starts to play tricks on you. So yeah, it's just don't worry so much. Don't worry about that. A couple other things that's on here. Let's see. Get your carb load right. Any carb load advice? Um,
Have you seen your? I forget. I feel like I've asked you this before. The Office. Did you ever watch The Office?
I've seen The Office. I can't say I'm a guy that's watched it multiple times as other people have.
Yeah. Well, there's an episode where they do a charity 5K, like for the office or whatever. And Michael goes out and buys like an entire, takeout dish of like fettuccine Alfredo. And he's just like housing it at the start line, basically. And then, like, obviously feels horrible, but he's like, I got a carb load. So, like, obviously that's an extreme take on carb loading. But, there are a lot of people who think that just immediately before, like, the night before, even, we had the tradition in high school of we would do like the team dinners to get the pasta to make sure everyone had a good meal and stuff. And it's like, and that is good, but you do want to be doing it a little actually further out than that. So you're not just like overloading your stomach. Now you're like, I might have digestive issues in the morning. Sorry, I'm like sick for the millionth time. I think I've never been healthy on this podcast. So sorry about my nose, everyone. Um, but yeah, so you want to be doing that, a day, 2 days out and not making it one meal that all of a sudden you're now like stacked on carbs and now you're having digestive problems in the morning and now you're stressing about how I'm going to find the toilet before the race and then like right everything starts to just snowball and then you're having GI problems and blah blah blah. But making sure you are getting some more of those simple carbs because then that is going to be a little easier to break down. I know some people who start to do like less fiber or whatever before as well. So it can get a little more complicated. But yeah, try not to make sure you're just like housing Alfredo before the.
Yeah, that was right on where the article was. It was, yeah, do it 2 or 3 days, leading up to the race. And the other key piece of advice was don't just add a bunch of carbs on top of your normal diet. So the idea is you should be probably eating similar amount of carbs or similar amount of calories as you would normally eat. So don't just add like 3 bagels throughout the day that are on top of what you normally eat. It's sort of cut back on fats and proteins a little bit those 48 hours ahead of time and replace those with more carbs. Yeah, because again, you're not looking to like, okay, I'm bloated on the start line because I've
Right.
added 500 calories to each of my meals by throwing in a big carb based meal dessert. So
Right.
yeah, that was it. I think there was you know carb loading, and then I guess don't forget how much progress you've made to date. Again, it goes back I think to that positive mindset and just focus on what you're doing right and not focus on the things that went wrong. So that
Yeah,
was
I
it.
think
That
it's,
was it. That was carb loading. I'm
yeah.
sorry. That was the do's and don'ts of tapering.
Yeah. I think the big thing about tapering is like with everything in life, right? Like just not overthinking it. And I think that's so much easier said than done. But that's kind of also the point of all of those points, right? Is like you've already done the training and hopefully you've done good enough training, but at this point, it doesn't actually matter most of what you're doing. So you're kind of here. Make sure you've planned ahead, but don't stress. And all those things. So yeah, maybe a taper is like a metaphor for life.
Yeah, did we say
And
how long tapers tend to be? I mean, I think I know I
depends on
never
the
tapered
race.
longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're doing a marathon, how long would you recommend someone taper?
Like 3 weeks for most of the people I coach, and just kind of like most, I think, general people. You want to do your longest run 3 weeks out, so then you are having lots more time to recover. But again, then that doesn't look like I drop everything, right? So that you do your longest run. Most of your runs stay about the same. You can keep that strength workout or two strength, whatever strengths you're doing, keep that same week, that third week. And then you are slowly decreasing those long runs. But then, yeah, by the second week of your taper, now you're getting rid of your strength. You're doing an even shorter long run. You're probably getting rid of like those hard sprint workouts and things like that. You're still probably keeping like a goal pace workout, but other than that, you're not doing like intervals and tempo and like all kinds of other things. So yeah, so 3 weeks usually, but then shorter runs, shorter races, like most of the halves is probably like a 2 week. I'm sure people taper for 5Ks. It kind of just depends.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think that would be very minimal taper, but yeah, I guess that's what you see on most of these plans is sort of a 3 week taper. And as you said, it's not an immediate like, hey, for 3 weeks I don't do a lot of runs. No, it sort of
Right.
comes down gradually, again, gradually over that 3 week period. The first of those 3 weeks might be 75% of your normal volume, and then 50% of your normal volume, and then 25% of your normal volume. And again, I'm making those numbers up, but that's generally the concept. It sort of ratchets down over that 3 week period to sort of build your body back up.
Right. And then I think the thing people also forget is like after a race, making sure you take some time off, but then kind of tapering back up as well. It doesn't obviously have to take as long as if you're doing a complete base building cycle, but like you don't want to just go from, oh, I was running 40-mile weeks, then I did my race, and then I took a week off. Like you don't go right back to that 40 miles a week or whatever it is. Like you do want to kind of ramp it up slow again, just to make sure that like if you have any resounding injuries or whatever, you're not just aggravating it more. But
Yeah, and if you're burnt out to all heck and you really don't feel like going out and running 40 miles a week, that's probably more likely to happen.
right, exactly.
All right, that's all I got today on news. And I guess other than Grand Slam track is coming up this coming weekend. So
Yeah, I saw that there was a little bit of, I guess people were just like saying some things about that.
yeah, I
In
saw
terms,
some articles about it. I guess I haven't bought our tickets yet for Philadelphia, so I'm not sure they're going to be sold out. So I'm not worried.
yeah,
But yeah, I think there's been a little bit of noise as to some star power. Do they have all the star power that they need? I mean, they do have some the Grant Fishers, the Sydney McLaughlin. Although I think there was a couple scratches. I don't think maybe Sydney scratched for this first event. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of star power that's lacking. But we'll see. We'll see how the first one goes. It's coming up.
yeah. So everyone, stay tuned. I'm sure we'll have some kind of update for that as well. I had another article, but I also feel like it might just be boring. But we'll do it.
I'm good. Bring it.
We got time. It says, bored of running? Try these fun strategies to stay motivated. Um, Now, I'm sure you can guess there's really not any interesting strategy listed in this article that you couldn't
Uh,
already
I'm bored
imagine.
of running. I've been bored with running at various times, including recently. So, what do you got? Maybe this will help me.
So at first, when I opened this, I thought it was going to be one of those things where it's like count how many dogs, which I think we've also talked about, right? People who like count the dogs, count how many people wave to them or whatever, you know what I mean? This is even less nuanced than that. This is things like adding variety through changing your route, changing your trail, changing what city or park you run in, switching up the terrain, switching up your pacing with doing hills or steady runs or fartlicks or intervals, running at different times of day. Um, Joining a running club is actually a good suggestion. And then participating in local races to challenge yourself and meet other runners. Um, I mean, some of
I
these
do.
things are just like good ideas anyway, right? Like switching up the terrain engages different muscles. Also, you don't really want to have to run on like the street all the time. Um, Changing your routes from like a not only just like if you're bored, but safety wise, that's also just kind of like a smart idea they say for safety purposes. And then also alternating your runs between slow runs, hills, speed, like that's just good training as well, right? You don't want to just be running every run slow. Um, Running at different times of the day I thought was kind of interesting because I feel like usually people are morning runners or evening runners. You know what I mean? I don't feel like there's a lot of people who are
Yeah.
like, oh, on Tuesdays and Thursdays I run in the morning, Fridays I run at night. Maybe they do, I guess, like depending on people's work schedules. But I feel like most people say,
I actually like that idea because I'm always an evening runner. I usually defer until I have to do it. Um, but every race you do is in the first thing in the morning. Sometimes some of these
mm,
go off at like 6 a.m. And so
right.
you're not used to getting up and having that routine. So I do think it's a good idea to mix up the time of day as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And now that I think about it, like a lot of running clubs either do like an after work thing or like a weekend morning. So like again, if you're going to join a running club, you are going to have a little bit of that variety as well for evening and morning. And then if you live
If you're
anywhere
one of
like,
those people, yeah.
and then between summer and winter, some people have to switch from evening runs to mornings or whatever because it's pitch black at 5 p.m. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, so no, it's not a bad suggestion. Um, Other things they said you could do would be like keeping your mind engaged. So, um, the one suggestion was breathing awareness, and I know some people who like count their breaths, or I've seen people ask like, "How do you control your breathing when running?" And I think if you're at a point where you're thinking about your breathing, like you're definitely you're doing too much,
Overthinking it.
huh?
You might be overthinking it a little bit.
Right, right. Like I've never thought about how I was breathing when I was running, and I hope to never do so. That just seems horrible and just a way to then like start panicking that you're now not getting enough air, and then am I breathing too slow or too fast? So use that suggestion with caution, I think. And they suggested music, which I know a lot of people do music or podcasts or books. Um, Landmark sprints. So picking an object, whether it's like a lamppost, a mailbox to sprint to, or whatever. Running without your watch. I don't know if that's like motivating at all, but I know that's like a thing some people like to do just to stop focusing so much on, outcomes and just more process focused. Um, and then other things they talk about like celebrating your success, which of course like having goals is nice. Um, like I know sometimes when I'm trying to get back into doing running, if I'm like, okay, if I actually get up at 5 and get my run done before I have to, then like I will go get a coffee in the mornings. Like I know people do that as well. Could be an expensive way to motivate you in your running, but could be effective also.
Yeah, I have mad respect for people who can get up early and do a run. I never been able to be that guy. I always want to be that guy, but I find it too difficult to do something that's that optional to get out of bed unnecessarily to go outside and put your body through that. I'm much more better later in the day, but I do have mad respect for people who do it.
You were never a before worker outer ever?
No, not really. I mean, no. I'd say,
Oh,
have I ever done it? I probably have, but very rarely. It was only out of necessity. But yeah, no, I'm much better in the evening. Much more dedicated and committed to doing it in the evening than I am in the morning.
wow. Yeah, I feel like I run out of energy by nighttime all the time. There's just
Yeah,
never.
I guess there's morning people and there's night people, and I guess I'm just a
Yeah.
night person.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did you get your run done yet today?
I have not done my run today, although I'm still on my. I was on my streak until yesterday. So, but I just took it. I voluntarily took a day off yesterday. So I was probably, I don't know, not maybe 14 days, 13 days in. One day off. I had to just get right back to it. I'm still trying to get to that 25 days. 3 weeks plus is when it becomes enjoyable and less of a like, okay, oh, I got to consciously remember to do this. It becomes almost automatically okay. It's just part of my routine now to do it.
Right. So are you going to try to run today? Is it a lift day?
Today's run. Today's
Okay.
run. So it's 3 miles. It's been nice out, but I've been doing treadmill. Just been doing
Yeah.
3 miles on the treadmill.
Okay. Yeah, I would say it's colder here today, I think, than it was over the weekend. So that makes
How
sense.
about you? How's your training? It sounds like you're sick again.
Oh my gosh, I was so sick over the weekend, and I've been like slow rolling a cold for like it feels like 10 days, and I just was like, "Oh, maybe this is allergies or something." And then it's just kind of going like full blown into like a cough and a sinus thing, and so I am going to try to run today. Cuz yeah, I think last week when we recorded, I was like, oh, I'm going to get a tea and then try to run. I ran for 10 minutes and I thought I was going to faint and walked back to the car. So, and then that was just like the start of everything going way downhill. And so, yeah, so I'm feeling like more better today, but who knows? I haven't tried to run or work out at all. So, yeah, my plan is to go to like the park at least and there's like a park by here that has probably like a kilometer distanced loop, which is like incredibly boring if you're trying to do like any kind of real run. But I'm like, if I do that, then at least if I have to stop and walk, I'm not so far from being done. so,
Yes.
so that's what
Yeah.
I'm
No.
gonna.
It's those loops are nice, but I agree that they get very redundant if you're doing like a 5K run.
Yeah, no, it can get extremely boring. But I was like, that's what I will do today. And we'll see. I should probably just plan to make it a run walk kind of dealio, but I don't know. We'll
Well,
see.
all right. Well, we'll get the update next week. We'll find out. What did you do?
Yes, if I've become even more out of shape or if I'm at all trying to make it work. So make sure you subscribe, rate the episode, 5-star reviews, otherwise, or actually just 5-star review, and then you can say something bad if you want. Share it with a friend, talk about it at your running group, and we'll see you next week.
Bye bye.